right, let's do this.
Let's do it.
Bro, my hands are drier than the Sahara Desert.
Sahara Desert? Come on now.
It's giving dry.
If y'all hear sandpaper in the background, that's our hands being rubbed together.
No, for real. My hands are dry.
If one of these plants catch on fire, we know who's responsible.
Yeah, I hope the camera can't see how dry these hands are. Niggas don't dance, just pull up a pants and do the rock going.
Hey.
I lean back.
What's going on, everybody? It is Elijah here and my beautiful wife,
Avriellemuse. Yes.
So it's been, a good year or so since we've recorded this podcast?
It might even be longer.
Yeah, it might have been more than a year, yo. A lot has changed in life, as always with us, it seems like. But we're just filled with some good information that we just want to share with y'all. So we're going to jump into it, y'all. So Today we're going to be talking about the easy hard principle. This is something that we've heard a couple different people talk about. We have like some virtual mentors, I guess we would call them. The people just that we follow online that pour into us, even though we've never met them in person.
Yeah.
And a couple of the people like just business leaders that we follow, kind of spiritual leaders that we follow, have talked about this, read it in a couple books as well, and feel like it's valuable information to share with everybody out there. So we're going to talk about the easy hard principle. We'll get into exactly what that is, how you can apply it to your life, how it looks right now with us and the choices, how it kind of shapes our decision making.
Yeah, tell the people what easy hard principle is. What is it?
Yeah, so the easy hard principle to us just means it's like I feel like it's a rule of life that we're learning to apply to any decision that needs to be made, right? Or any endeavor that we want to jump into in life. So the easy hard principle just says that with kind of pretty much any endeavor that you're going to chase, with any new skill that you want to learn, with anything that you want to do, most things that you want to do in life, there's always going to be a positive and a negative side to it, right? So regardless of what we're talking about, whether it be a new career path, whether it be like health decisions that you're going to make in your life, whether it be family decisions, even things like vacations, like no matter what it is that we look at in life, most things, they're going to have positives and negatives to it, right? It's going to kind of be balanced. Right. So the easy hard principle just says that pretty much with any of those situations, we can look at and say, you're either going to benefit in the short term and then have some type of sacrifice in the long term.
Yep.
Or you can flip it around and you can sacrifice in the short term and benefit in the long term.
Yes.
And so pretty much what we've found in our life is that in most situations, we feel like it's beneficial to always sacrifice in the short term.
Yeah.
Right. And when you're sacrificing in the short term, you can call it discipline, right? Some people just look at it as discipline, sacrifice, delayed gratification.
Yeah.
But when you delay the thing that you want for something that's like for your future self, you always, like, I haven't personally ever regretted the decision.
Yeah.
Of delaying gratification. And even like I think about something as simple as like there's been a couple times where we've gone on vacation, right? And this just popped up and you were like, yo, before we left the house, you'd say, all right, let me clean up the house. Let me put stuff in order.
That's
let me get everything right.
The example I was thinking.
Yeah. And you was like, yo, future Ave I'm gonna love myself. Like future Ave is gonna love me for doing this.
It's so true.
And like we'll come back from vacation a week later, 5 days later, however long we're gone. And the house will be spotless. Like everything will be in perfect order. Because actually, most of the time you come back, or we come back from vacation and just want to sleep.
Yeah.
You know, like want to rest.
Right.
Even, especially after traveling. And so it's just like things like that, or something as serious as business even. So like another example is of the easy hard principle. I'll use a little bit of a simpler example. So let's say just something like as simple as food choices. Right? Something that we experience on a daily basis that everybody deals with. An example of the easy hard principle when it comes to your food and your health would just be if you decide to take the easy way out, kind of take I'm not going to call it lazy because I'm not trying to hurt nobody's feelings. But if I guess you take the quote unquote easy way, which to me seems like fast food,
yeah,
quicker food options, less health conscious options.
Yeah.
Like if you can go and pick it up in 2 seconds, or you can go in the pantry and like eat some processed snacks or something real quick, right? You got fried foods, you got desserts, sugary goodness that tastes good. Those are, I feel like, easy options, right? And it's something that's just instant gratification. You taste it, or you eat it. You got the greasiness on your taste buds. You got the sugar on your taste buds, and it feels great in that moment.
Right.
But if you do that like for years and years and years, and you're eating out, you're not paying attention to what you eat. You're just kind of going with the flow. You're gonna see long-term consequences to those actions, right?
Right.
So you might have more health issues in the future if you're not paying attention to what you're eating. You might be on prescription drugs or something, right? Yeah. For those health issues. If you have kids, you might not be able to keep up physically with your kids for as long. You might not be able to go out and experience things in life like you want to if you're dealing with the issues that come with not being conscious of the foods that you eat, right?
Right.
So flipping that around would be just making a harder decision in the present moment and making sure like, hey, instead of eating out, instead of going to McDonald's, Burger King, Chick-fil-A and getting that, spicy chicken sandwich every day, I'm going to stay at home. I'm going to make something a little bit healthier that's not fried, even throw some veggies, some greens or something on my plate, and just be aware of how that specific thing affects my body and can affect my future. And when you make those decisions up front, then you'll probably have a longer lasting life, a more healthy life, be more energetic, be able to do more things. So there's a bunch of examples.
Good. So good. I feel like even in our own life where we were able to see that was like where we sacrificed getting our own place when we first moved to Georgia. Yep. And we decided that we were going to move in with your parents for a little bit. Mm-hmm. And even though it sucked, not because like your parents sucked, your parents are great. It was just that we wanted our own space, like
what kind of adult doesn't want their own space?
Right, and so we were all in this house together and all that stuff, and it would have been nice to have our own place, but we sacrificed that because we were like, man, in the long term, we'll be able to save so much money. Yeah. We'll be able to like do investments. And at the end of that season, how long were we at your parents? Maybe a year and a half?
Almost a year and a half, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Like at the end of that season, we were able to save so much money. We had saved the most money we've ever saved. And we were also able to like put so much money into like stocks and all that stuff.
Yep,
and we had never done that before. So even though it was this sacrifice of giving up our own place, not having up our own space, you know what I mean? Like it was still so beneficial in the long run, and we were grateful that we did it.
And not just from the monetary standpoint of like we were able to save this much, but even I look at like the focus that was able to be applied in that season.
Yeah.
So if we wouldn't have made the sacrifice of living with like my parents for a year and some change, I wouldn't have been able to focus full time on my business because we didn't have the financial responsibility of having to pay rent every month. We were able to say, okay, even though the business is not making money right now, we see like a good year or so or less time than that, this could be a 6-figure, 7-figure business, right? But we just need the time, the focus, and the ability to be able to focus on it to grow this thing, right? So we like there were so many opportunities that came from that decision, but it wasn't immediate. It was like I said, a year and a half before. It was a year and a half of sacrifice where there was really no benefits up front,
right?
Of like, well, no benefits that we really
recognized and appreciated at the time, you know. And I remember during that time, like something that really encouraged me was Patrice Washington. She had this whole thing where she was talking about the blessing of downsizing.
Okay.
And I really love that because it's like sometimes when we think that we're giving up something, we don't feel like it could be a blessing in the moment. But giving up our own space ended up being this it ended up being this return that we ended up seeing in the long run. And it was really sweet and great for us. And I remember when we moved here, we lived off that. Like, not that we weren't making money at the time because we were both working and it was really good, but we also like lived off like that previous season in a way where we were able to like get all the furniture that I wanted. I remember I was at West Town like every week. I was living my best life. We were at Crate and Barrel.
Balling on no budget.
Literally balling on no budget. Like Elijah, that was like one of the few times in our marriage probably the only time in our marriage where Elijah didn't cap me, because he always caps me. So I was like, Avriel, okay, you're doing a little bit too much. But he literally
everybody
didn't.
Need constraints in life, yo. God gave us the Bible for a reason. He can't just have folks out here running around trying to do their own thing, you know?
Whatever. But I think that Elijah saw, like, okay, we sacrificed so much at this time. Like, it's totally
you should be able
fine
to enjoy the rewards of your sacrifice.
Yes.
It can't just be all sacrifice.
It can't just be all sacrifice. And that's really important too with the easy hard principle, because it's like you also have to kind of make sure that you're taking the time to enjoy on the back end.
All right.
Because I feel like it could probably get, I'm going to go on a tangent here, but I feel like it could probably get kind of easy to remain in that sacrifice season even if you're out of it. In the sense of like, oh, I'm going to continue sacrificing. I'm going to continue doing this delayed gratification thing, even if you're in a place where you can actually enjoy it.
I get what you're saying. I think it depends on the person.
Yeah.
And I think it depends on the habits that they've built.
True.
Because only a person who is comfortable with sacrifice will be able to remain in sacrifice.
Yeah.
Right? And I think majority of people aren't comfortable with like hardship. They're not comfortable with like being in a place where they don't know what they're doing, in a place of just constant growth, right?
True.
And I feel like when it comes to things like the easy hard principle, it's more so you have to be comfortable with newness. I feel like, and kind of stepping outside of your comfort zone, you know, because I feel like when you're looking at the easy hard principle, at its core, you're making decisions to improve your future life and your future self.
Yeah.
Right. And in order to improve in anything in life, we have to, like, we're going to be doing things that we've never done before.
True.
Right. And we're going to be in situations that we've never been in before.
True.
In order to improve. Because it's like, if there's a barrier in our life, or there's a fence that we've set and we've never gone past that fence, and now I'm trying to break through the fence, or I'm trying to jump over the fence, it's like, once I get over there, I don't know what to expect. I don't know what's happening.
Right.
And I mean, I've seen that in like so many books, personal development books, business books, is like, especially for entrepreneurs. As an entrepreneur, especially if you're a newer entrepreneur, if you don't know anything about business, you've never had a business, almost every single day is discovery. It's self-discovery, it's business discovery, it's strategic discovery, and you're just in this constant learning phase, right?
Right.
But what happens is, like, just we're creatures of habit. And so we get comfortable with doing the things that we've always done, but doing the things that we've always done isn't going to get us to a better place. It's going to get us to the same place that we're at.
True. That's so good. I feel like another example of where I've seen this in my own life is with content creation. So putting the time in and the effort in the beginning without seeing the rewards of like the likes or the comments or the people DMing you and telling you like, oh, you're impacting me, your content's helping me. Like, you're just basically just giving and you don't really see anything in the upfront. And that feels like a sacrifice. Even though you do enjoy it, it's just encouraging, you know, to have that validation, or like, not validation, but to have people say like, this is impacting me, because then you know what you're doing is helping somebody.
Responsiveness.
Yeah.
Feedback.
And I feel like that sacrifice in the beginning with my content creation was really tough.
What sacrifice?
Like the sacrifice of just giving and pouring out and like creating all this content. It felt like a sacrifice in the beginning because I didn't see any of that responsiveness. And
I think to really like specify what you're saying, sorry to interrupt, but the big sacrifice, and I think the difference maker, was you did a 30-day challenge last year.
Yeah.
You had never done 30 days straight of content. Like, you've always posted pretty consistently on Instagram. But
I would say sporadically.
Yeah, but it might be like once a week.
Yeah.
You know, type situation, a couple times a week. It was never like every day. I'm going to do this as in expectation of growth.
Right.
It was more so just, I'll share some pieces of my life here and there.
Right.
But when you really got strategic with it, it was like, man, like studying other successful people in the space and what do they do to get the results that they get. And you saw, okay, well, consistency and like quantity is a huge thing when it comes to growth online.
Yeah.
On any of your social media platforms or content platforms. And when you made the decision to do 30 days, you actually ended up doing like 60 days, dang near.
No, it was like 40 days.
Something like that.
Yeah, it was 40 days.
Yeah. But when you made that decision, it was a sacrifice because it was very hard in the beginning because you had never done 30 days of content. You had never recorded videos, took photos every single day to be able to put out that much quantity. But you've seen huge results from it.
Right. Right. And within 2 months of that, I ended up growing to like 10,000 followers. Yeah. So that felt like such a sacrifice in the front end, but I ended up seeing the reward on the back end of like the people it was impacting. Like that was the sweetest thing for me, like to see how it was impacting and touching people. So yeah, I would just say that with content creation, that was another area where I saw it. And it kind of feels like especially with content creation too, there was it's also a significant time investment to not be making money. Yeah. Let's be real. You know what I mean? I mean, a lot of people work their jobs and will do content creation on the side, you know, and that's what I was doing last year when I grew to 10K. I was working my job and I was also doing content creation on the side, you know, but to not be making money from the thing that you actually love doing, that's also delayed to see the financial reward, you know, so.
Yeah. So can you like just summarize in your own words, like what does the easy hard principle mean to you?
I think if you asked past Ave, I'd be like, easy hard principle is ghetto. But I think now I'm in a place where I'm appreciating it more and more. And I honestly, I will credit that to you because that's something that you've taught me a lot in marriage. Because I'm very much the quitter type. Why am I doing this? I love enjoying my life. I don't like that sacrificial dying feeling, you know.
Dying? Dang,
it really be feeling like that sometimes, you know. And I remember like even early on in my content creation days, I would just give up. I'm like, forget this, I'm not doing this anymore because I'm not seeing anything on the back end. But I think seeing Elijah, especially with Gifted Hands, and I'm sure you'll get into that, like seeing how he started this YouTube channel and within a year he hit like 10,000 subscribers. And now what are you at right now?
Like 85K?
Like 85,000 subscribers or whatever. But I saw him grind. Like this guy was posting YouTube videos like crazy.
2-3 times a week.
Like 2-3 times a week. I remember when you did a couple challenges where you're posting a YouTube video every day. And long form content is no joke, you know?
Especially when you got to edit and man, it's a full-time career.
So he was putting time, energy, effort into this thing. And I was like, man, I have never put that much. At the time, I never put that much time, energy, effort into anything when it came to my goals. You know what I mean? Especially my career goals. Yeah. So I felt like just seeing you be that kind of person and do that, it showed me, man, like now he's reaping the benefits. Now he's seeing, now you have a successful business. And for me, it's like, I have to be willing to do that if I want to get those kinds of results. And I remember at the time last year, my friend was talking to me and she said something. She was like, action supersedes everything. And she kept repeating that to me. Action supersedes everything.
That's like Grant Cardone's model.
Yeah.
I can be the dumbest person in the room, but I can outwork anybody. And it matters. It makes a difference.
It does make a difference. And trust me, I'm not into hustle culture. I think you should rest. I think you should take time for enjoyment. But I think that there are going to be seasons where you have to be willing to sacrifice. You have to be willing to go hard. You have to be willing to outwork others if you have specific goals. And that's something that I never appreciated in the past because I always wanted to be in the enjoyment phase. But in the past, my enjoyment phases were so short because I'd always be feeling the pain of regret.
Right. Yeah.
Like, what if I did do this? What if I did that? So it was like, even though I was enjoying on the outside, deep down internally, there was a lot like happening on the inside where I felt like I was struggling because I knew I had goals that I wanted to meet and I knew I wasn't doing what I needed to do to meet them.
Yeah, that's powerful. And I mean, that's a great way to word it. Actually, one of my best friends has a tattoo, which pretty much breaks down the same thing, the easy heart principle, but it's just said in a different way, which is the pain of discipline versus the pain of regret, right? And I don't know, this it's just so mind-boggling to me, and I think this is something that we're going to carry for the rest of our lives. Like, just this concept of there's pain, and I don't want it to sound morbid and like you're going to be bleeding or hurting. Like, it doesn't even have to be something so dramatic, but just in most things in life, there's going to be pain, right?
1,000%.
And so would you rather, like you just said, would you rather have the temporary satisfaction of doing whatever it is that you're doing, but like regretting the thing that you really want deep down?
Yeah.
Like not having that? Or would you rather feel the pain of discipline in the moment, of focusing, and maybe of putting some like frivolous wants? Because I think like when you really think about the easy heart principle, when it comes to feeling the pain of discipline, a lot of times the things that give us instant gratification are not that satisfying.
Yeah.
Like they're such temporary like the satisfaction is just so temporary and it's so short term. Like it doesn't last for long. It's really not worth it. Like when you look at the grand scheme of things, right? Like for me, as a musician, right? I'm a pianist. I've put in thousands and thousands of hours on playing the piano, right? And there's been countless days where I've sat at the piano for 6 hours, for 8 hours a day, and I haven't done nothing else. I didn't go outside. I didn't talk to my friends or go kick it with the homies, and I just sat down and focused. And in the moment, it was hard.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, sometimes I'd be mentally tired. Like, it wasn't always just straight enjoyment. Like a lot of times I can sit down at the piano and play the same thing, like the same song for 3 or 4 hours. Like actually that gets mentally exhausting.
Yeah.
But I would choose that a million times over because I'm able to live my dream now, right? I'm able to travel. I was able to travel the world, play music. I'm getting some amazing opportunities now as a musician because of the discipline that I put in over the last, really 10, 20 years.
Right.
And it's paying off. And that is so much more satisfying to me versus if I had not made that decision and done whatever else, whatever the other options were in that season.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like Elijah teaches me a lot of hard principles because I'm like, let's have fun all the time.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having fun.
And Elijah just reminds me like, hey, like what's the long-term goal, And it's not that I don't think long-term. I really do. I definitely do. Wouldn't you say that? Or am I tripping?
Do you think long-term? I think, you do. I feel like it's just specific areas. Specific areas.
I would agree.
Yeah. It just depends on the area.
It depends on the area.
So what's the most impactful area or example in your life where you've applied the easy hard principle and you've seen significant payoff?
I would say my content creation.
Okay.
Because that's what I've wanted for so long. Like for so many years, I've wanted to be able to grow an audience online and encourage women. You know what I mean? Talk about God, share my family, share my life, inspire. Literally, that's all I've wanted to do for as long as I can remember. And so I think just seeing that pay off now after putting the time and effort and energy in has been nice.
So what was the short-term sacrifice for you? Or some of the short-term sacrifices?
As I explained earlier, I feel like it was just the time investment, like putting the time, effort, energy in, creating this content, pouring out, and there was no responsiveness. Okay. Like that was really tough.
Yeah.
But okay, for you, where would you say on the flip end that you've done the hard, easy principle?
Like sacrificing in the short term for the long term? No,
sacrifice. Well, actually, yeah, because you didn't answer that yet.
Okay.
Sacrifice in the short term for the long term.
So same thing for me. Business definitely is, I think, a huge area. When I first started my business, I think there was like 6 months before I even had a product, like before I even had something to sell, where I was just putting out content to build an audience. So there were 6 months of that where I wasn't even selling anything, and there was really no benefit at all.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, seeing numbers, I guess, a ticker on your computer, like seeing your subscriber count go up, could be looked at as benefit. But like in that season, I wasn't working, and so that wasn't a huge benefit for me. Like I would have preferred money.
Yeah, Elijah's very driven by stability, security, finances. Just giving you guys some backstory. Yeah.
Hey, some people like seeing the numbers going up. I like to see my bank account going up if I'm gonna see some numbers go up. But so yeah, like I think in business there was like 6 month period where it was just content creation. I didn't get any benefit from that, and it was like dang near full-time job hours, right?
It was full-time job hours. I remember.
Yeah, and this was in Toronto.
It was actually giving overtime.
Yeah, probably. Like I feel like for the first 2 to 3 years of my business, I worked. Or actually, I'm in year 3 now. So yeah, for the first 2 years, I was working OT. Going ham.
Definitely.
But all right, so I had 6 months of just content creation where there was definitely no benefit, and then I launched my first product, and I remember I think I made like $100 the first month.
I remember we were counting the people coming into the academy.
Yeah, because it was like 6. I think I had 6 people sign up for my academy the first month.
Yeah.
But then I had to pay like $100, and I was worried about the $100 business fees like we had signed up for.
That's crazy.
So it was like that for another, maybe 6 months to a year. So it was a good year and a half where we was just like maybe making a couple $100 a month, maybe, right? So we're a year and a half in, and there was no benefit. But through that whole time, like, I didn't ease up when it came to putting out content, when it came to just running the business, doing the things that I knew would eventually pay off. And I mean, it wasn't like we was just like, I was just moving like a machine, because there was many conversations that I brought to you. I was like, man, babe, like, this ain't moving as fast as I want it to.
I remember.
And maybe I do just need to go get a job.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just the hardship of putting in time and not seeing any results. It was also the hardship of like, there's other choices that we could make that would provide us the life that we want to. In the fact that, instead of you spending 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week on this job, you could go get a actual job. Which a lot of people would say you could go get
pay you a salary,
a real job that pays real money, and do that and provide for the family. But I mean, even I think that speaks to you, because it was hard for both of us. You had to make sacrifices as well in that season. You wasn't getting your hair done. You wasn't getting your nails done, your toes done, no clothes, like no shopping sprees.
That's how I know Elijah loved me in that season, because I was raggedy. Okay. It was giving raggedy on the daily. I
feel like it shows that there was love both ways, though. Because, I mean, you loved me and believed in me.
That's true.
Because for you to say, like, actually, I think Abe was more convinced to continue doing the things that we were doing, like, especially with the business, more so than I was. Because I was ready, I feel like, to go get a job and do, like, not quit, but just do both.
Right.
Do both, right? Like, work on the business part-time, work full time, be able to provide for the family. Because we had a son at this point. We had our son Shai, who was like 1.
Yeah,
actually,
he was 1.
Yeah. So he had just been born. So we had a lot of responsibilities. So there was definitely love and trust that, like, and belief. And I was like, no, you got this, babe. Like, it's gonna work. We see the results like happening growth wise.
Yeah.
And the monetary benefits are going to happen because we saw the impact in people's lives. I think that was happening.
I think too, part of it also was like, well, I know I'm not going to do all that. Like, and Elijah's doing all that. So one of us has to, do this entrepreneurship thing, because I really do believe in entrepreneurship so much. I just never thought at that time that I had it in me to do it. So I saw your work ethic very early on, like before we were even married. And I was like, bruh, I'm going to ride Elijah's coattails to the top, bro. Because
Yeah, that's so. It's funny, but that sounds crazy. Actually,
No, literally.
But you actually said that on the regular, though.
Literally, I was like, I'm riding your coattails to the top. You don't go get this job. Trust me, because I knew that the 9 to 5 was going to cap him eventually. He was going to be capped at a certain
quickly.
number.
As soon as you get hired, it's going to be capped.
Well, we know that there's like yearly reviews and you get, you know what I mean? But
$2 raise and a $10 raise.
You know what I mean? But it's like, I knew that he was going to get capped. And obviously, nothing against a 9 to 5. We respect it. You know, there's so many people that we know that do it. We have nothing against it. Yeah. We just knew that for us, like the kind of life that we wanted to live, you know? And I was like, man, I know Elijah's going to do this. I know he's going to put the work ethic in right now. And I know he's got this. So I'll hold it down with Lil Shy in the back. Yeah. And I'll look raggedy. As long as he still loves me, you know, we're gonna ride this thing. I'm gonna ride it to the top, you know.
Definitely. It was sacrificed both ways.
It was a hard season.
Yeah, I mean, but all that to say that sacrifice did pay off, you know, and it's gonna continue to pay off. Yeah, for the rest of our lives. I think I've been able to build something that's gonna last. I'm hoping not only for my lifetime, but for like generations to come, and to really like build something that can leave a legacy for the Muse family, for our kids, you know, and something that they continue on or just is continued on even after I'm gone, after we're gone.
Yeah, shameless plug, Gifted Hands Music on YouTube. If you or anybody you know that needs to learn how to get better at the piano, that's where you go. Okay.
Teaching gospel musicians how to play the keys.
Hey.
But yeah, so definitely career wise has been I think a huge benefit where we've seen the easy hard principle play out. Another question: has there been a situation in your life where you've regretted making the sacrifice in the short term? Because I think maybe something that some people may question is, well, dang, what if I make this sacrifice in the short term, right? I follow the easy hard principle that y'all are talking about. I have these long-term goals that I really want to reach, and I make that sacrifice in the short term and it doesn't pay off.
Ooh.
Have you experienced something like that?
I wouldn't say I've experienced something like that. I can see that happening though, for sure. Okay. But I think even in those instances, if that does happen, it's still not a waste. I think sometimes we think that things are a waste if the outcome isn't what we expect it to be.
Right.
But I think that we don't count the things that matter, like, oh, I learned a new lesson. You know, I learned what not to do. I learned that this isn't the route I wanted to take anyway.
Yep.
You know, I learned that there's a better way to do this. There's so many things, like you gain wisdom even in failing. Mm-hmm. And I think that we tend to think that if the outcome isn't the outcome that we want, then we failed. But I feel like it's not really a failure.
Oh my God. She said you gain wisdom in the failures. Hey, hateba.
But it's true. I don't know. I just feel like our society is just so built off like outcome, achievement, you know, end result. Mm-hmm. And I think that if we have the right perspective, I think perspective is everything. If we have the right perspective, then we'll truly see that, man, you shouldn't really regret this because you learned.
Hey, Allie.
Hey.
You're supposed to dunk it.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's really good. That's really good. Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think that's something like I've had conversations with friends in the past. Is like, man, is the attempt even worth it? Like, is going after my dreams worth it? Is doing the thing that's gonna hurt temporarily, you know, in the short term, is it worth it? And I feel like what you said is spot on. Even if you don't necessarily hit your goal, the goal that you wanted to hit, that you were aiming for, you will be farther along trying.
Yes.
Versus you would never have attempting it.
1000%. Woo! Come on. Yeah. You better teach us, okay, Pastor Muse?
Don't. I rebuke that. I do not receive that.
That is so funny. Oh, that's just like, I will never be a pastor. Okay, so I have a question. Mm-hmm. What is something that you're struggling with right now when it comes to the easy hard principle?
Okay, so something that I feel like I should be sacrificing in the short term, but am struggling with.
Yes.
All right, so something I've committed myself to, it's probably been close to a year now. I think I started this journey like last year. It's just been, man, it's been a struggle for me. Is I feel like I've kind of hit a ceiling in my productivity and in my discipline, right? And I think in order to be more efficient in life, in order to get the things that I really want done, like when it comes to just my physical fitness, being able to go to the gym, being able to spend more time with God, grow my spiritual relationship with God, even being able to get more work done career-wise, I think it's going to take a big shift in the way that I operate my life. And so the decision that I made last year was that I read this book, what is it, the 5 a.m. Morning Club or something like that? The 5 a.m. Club? Mm-hmm. Yeah. 5 a.m. Club. And I had already heard a couple of business owners, entrepreneurs, CEOs talking about, you know, they wake up at 4 o'clock, they wake up at 5 o'clock, and they get so much work done. So I tried it last year, I think, when I first read this book, and it was game changing. Like, productivity shot up through the roof, right? And so when I finished reading the book, tried it, was like, yeah, this isn't going to work for my life. Like, if I want to keep elevating, I got to do this. But man, I think because I'm a creative at the same time, I've always been a night owl. I have not been consistent with waking up at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
I still have not been able to make it a habit yet. So what'll happen is I'll do 2 weeks strong of waking up pretty consistently, you know, 4, 5, 6 days a week or something. I might miss a day or two here and there. I'll go for 2 weeks strong. And then I'll have like a project or a gig or something, something that I'm working on. And just, I don't even know, I feel like growing up, my mom was always at the crib working late because she worked, she's a computer programmer, so she worked like for the state of California. So I'd see her up working late on like project stuff. And then she had a nonprofit company as well. My parents have a nonprofit company. So they would be up late working on grants and doing things like that. And so I always just saw like you can get work done late at night when everybody's, you know, asleep and, you know, nobody's bothering you. You can get work done later. So I kind of picked that habit up and did it through college, pulled all-nighters, getting projects and papers written and stuff like that, and just built that habit. And so for me, I will get the creative juices flowing or get the work juices flowing late at night, and I'll be up till 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and that just makes it almost impossible for me to wake up at 5 a.m. consistently. Like, ain't no way I'm going to sleep at 2 a.m. and waking up at 5.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah. Like it literally just happened yesterday.
Literally yesterday, guys. I wake up, it's like almost 4 a.m, and I hear the piano just going. And I'm like, what is happening? I'm like, babe, are you gonna come to bed? Like, you literally just woke me up.
Yeah.
But I knew he was working on something, so I'm fine. But I know he has a goal in mind too.
Yeah.
So.
But it's definitely a difficulty. And so but I think that's just a great point to bring up, is that I think regardless of how disciplined you are or how much you want things, something like this, I think there will just be areas in everybody's life where making that sacrifice is easier. And then there'll be areas of your life, depending on your habits, depending on your childhood, depending on your upbringing, areas that will just be harder as well.
100%.
And it's just going to take time. And it's something I'm still committed to, even though it's a struggle. I've still made the decision, and I'm just walking it out week by week.
Yeah, that's so good.
But what about you?
For me, I would say pregnancy right now, honestly. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm in the home stretch, you know, 3rd trimester. And I'm officially at that point where I'm like really tired. I'm waddling, like super uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Belly feels actually heavy at this point, you know. So that feels really hard. But I also know that once my baby gets here, like, man, all of this work, all of this 9 months, you know, for just the gratification of seeing my child. Yeah. And bringing this new life into the world and seeing how a baby girl is going to change the dynamic of our family. So I think that's just super hard right now, honestly. Every day I tell Elijah, I'm like, babe, I hate being pregnant. It's so ghetto. Literally every day I tell him this. I'm like, I don't know how people do this so many times. Like, this is so hard, but I know that it's going to be worth it in the end. And I think that's just something I'm walking through right now, you know, and it's short and sweet, but it is what it is.
Yeah, very true, very true.
Yeah. So, okay. I have another question.
Hit me.
How do you get comfortable with dealing with the hard things? Because I feel like for me, that's something that is hard. And maybe comfortable isn't the right word, because I don't know if we'll ever be comfortable with dealing with hard things. I don't know if comfortable is the perfect word in this question.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But for me, it's so hard to handle the hard things and to commit to doing the hard things, even when you know that there's an end goal in mind. So I don't know, like, what are some practices that we can put in place, like habits or mindset shifts that people need to kind of encourage them along the way?
Yeah. A couple things that I see. I look at it as just kind of mental conditioning. And so I think for some people, their life experiences have like subconsciously built up the habit of doing hard things. So like for me, I grew up playing sports. I grew up playing football and baseball, right? And bruh, I will never forget the first season I played football. I was, I think, fifth or sixth grade. And the way my coaches made us run, I had never ran that much in my life, yo. And so I really like credit even sports, like doing martial arts and stuff like that growing up, taekwondo, all that good stuff. I credit a lot of that to the discipline that I'm able to apply to life situations now. Is because like, man, physical, like being able to fight physically through pain, I think is directly correlated to you being able to fight through emotional, mental hardships in life, right? So if you want to build the stamina, build the endurance to be able to persevere through hardships, you make small choices in your life that's going to help build up those muscles, right? So we both read Tiny Habits, right? Or
Atomic Habits.
Atomic Habits. Yeah. I have another book called Tiny Habits.
Oh, okay.
Atomic Habits, James Clear. And one of the things that he says in that book, or he talks about habit stacking, right? Where it's like, if I make conscious decisions to delay my gratification in the kitchen, right? I love ice cream. So if I say, yo, I'm not gonna eat ice cream for a month, and I'm used to doing it 3 times a week or every night, and I say, yo, all right, I'm gonna challenge myself. I'm not gonna eat any ice cream this month. And if I can build the discipline to be able to do that, I'm building my discipline muscle, not only when it comes to food, but in life in general, right? So if I can do that, then I can say, yo, maybe I have other health goals. Like I want to go to the gym, right? All right, now it's going to be a little bit easier when I make the commitment to myself of, hey, let's go to the gym. Elijah, go to the gym. We're going to go 3 times a week, and we're going to gradually build our way up. And it's as I keep those promises to myself in small areas, I believe that they start to disseminate to all the areas of your life.
Yeah.
And I think just getting in the habit of keeping the promises you make to yourself is huge.
That's so good. That's so good, because we get so upset when people don't keep promises to us, but we
don't make promises. We don't keep promises to ourselves.
We don't keep promises to ourselves, and we don't think it's a big deal. And then we prove ourselves to be a liar to ourselves. We don't even trust when we say, oh, I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow. We don't even trust ourselves. So it's like, we know it's not going to happen. You know, so that is so good. That's so powerful. And just to kind of like elaborate on habit stacking as well, the way James Clear talks about it, like practically for you guys, is, for example, Elijah used the ice cream example. Instead of him like opening the fridge and going to get ice cream, instead he would open the fridge and get water. And then he would be like, okay, I got water. So now my routine is I get water, and then I go sit down and I open up my laptop and I watch something that is educational instead. and then I go to bed at 10 p.m. or whatever the case is. And it's like being able to stack those habits together
Gotcha.
helps you to make sure that you see all of those things through. You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, if I accomplish the top of the habit stacking pole, then I'll accomplish the bottom of the habit stacking pole. You know what I mean? So it's like practically just putting the habits together will help you. And that helped me too. So
yeah, definitely. So yeah, something that we've been talking a lot about, or I've been asking like some of our other married friends and just folks in our lives about this, is what does balance look like in life, right? How do we balance pushing towards our goals, whether it be financial, health, career goals, and thinking long term, thinking, 5 years, 2 years, 5 years, a decade, 2 decades down the road, versus still actually not versus, but while still being able to enjoy your life in the present moment. So I guess like the question I'll pose to you is just, where is the balance? How do you find the balance between enjoying your life in the present moment while still always thinking about your long-term goals and doing things that are going to help you be successful in the long term?
I think meeting with you and talking with you like in every new season of our lives, or like every quarter or whatever, like whenever we have our meetings where we're talking about what our goals are, that really helps me, because then it's like, okay, well, I know that in this season, this is what we're balancing. Like right now we're focusing on this, I don't know, financial goal. So that means that I'm going to have to sacrifice, maybe not going to Starbucks every day or whatever, not going to Target as much, blah, blah, blah. But I know that in the next season, like that balance might be a little bit different, where it's like, okay, well, we've reached this financial goal. So now I can go to Starbucks more, or I can go to Target more and all that stuff. So I feel like having somebody that I can bounce things off of, and we can like kind of create a new rhythm in each season for our lives really helps me, because I do feel like I am weaker in this area than you are. So you kind of help keep me anchored when it comes to like sacrifice versus enjoyment.
Yeah.
Whereas if you didn't exist, I'd probably
straight enjoyment.
Straight enjoyment, no money in my account, always regretting, the pain of like, man, what if, you know what I mean? So I think just having you in my life has been so great, which speaks to marriage, honestly.
Yeah. So and it sounds like pretty much you're saying a reward system, essentially.
Yeah.
It's like, let's set clear, measurable goals, no matter what the area is in our life. And when we hit a milestone, a benchmark, whatever you want to call it, then we can kind of maybe take a step back from the sacrifice and reward ourselves for accomplishing this. And not that it's like the end all be all, but it's like it's a scale or a ladder. Like once we get to level 1, let's stop. Let's look around level 1. Let's see what it feels like. And then, all right, we can jump back in the elevator or climb back up the ladder and go to the next level type situation.
And I feel like that's like the balance in our marriage. Like you remind me to work hard, focus on the task at hand, focus on the goal that we're trying to reach, and like focus on the sacrifice part. And I remind you to pull back and like rest and enjoy.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? And
100%.
That balance is really good. Like we need that even in our marriage, because I do think that if we didn't have each other, you would be a workaholic. 1,000 quadrillion %. Okay? Because I'm sure if I didn't come in this room last night being like, babe, are you coming to bed? You would still be playing the piano. Legit.
I would not.
Legit.
I was actually like, my eyes were starting to close on me a little bit last night. So I had a benchmark. I had a goal. I was like, yo, I just want to get to this specific key. And like after I get here and get finished with this, then I'm gonna call it a night. But no, there's definitely a balance. There's 100% a balance.
Yeah.
And I think that's something huge that you've taught me and that you've shown me and just made me aware of, is like, yo, what's the point of success if you don't enjoy it?
Right.
You know? And I think like for me, success at certain levels didn't necessarily feel like success. Because I think I had this ultimate idea of what, all right, once I get here, I'm successful. Or I've actually accomplished the thing that I set out to do. But you're like, nah, like you got to enjoy the journey.
You have to enjoy the process. Journey. And the benchmark's always, for people that are high achievers like you, the benchmark's always going to be moving.
Yeah. Even I remember there's this guy I follow online, Graham Cochran. He's like a entrepreneurship business coach. And he was saying, I don't want to misquote him, but I think it might have been something like he had his first $100,000 year. I think when he first made six figures, like first year he made six figures in his business, working for himself. It's like he hit the goal and he went, I think he said his family went on vacation or something for like a week to celebrate. And then he got back home and was like, dang, like that's it. It's like life didn't really change much drastically. And then like he set the next goal, which was $1 million in a year, and kept grinding. So yeah, that's definitely true. It's like if you don't like step back and enjoy, you'll just like kind of be in this constant state of going. Going.
And I feel like especially in this culture where it's all about like hustling and working hard and I feel like it's now we're seeing a shift, like the soft life and the self-care.
Yeah.
But even still, like our culture is all about like achievement, working hard, outcome, all of that. So it's just so important to stop and smell the roses along the way.
Yeah.
So
that's very true. And then I think there's one more thing. I think to close it off for like that question as far as how do we balance enjoying life in the short term as well as like always keeping the long term in mind. Something I feel like that I'm learning really in this season of life is that like, the idea of balance as an adult is kind of like a fallacy.
Yeah, 100%.
It's more so priorities.
Yeah.
When you become an adult, because it doesn't feel like we'll ever be able to do everything that we want to do when we want to do it.
Yeah.
Right? So you might be able to do everything that you want to do in life, but you're not going to be able to do it at the same time.
Yeah.
So you have to choose when you want to do the things that you want to do.
Right.
And so I'm realizing, just like there's seasons of focus. Just like you said, is like, what are we doing in this season? Or what's most important? Is this a season where we're really grinding, where we're working towards these goals, or have we hit them? Have we been sacrificing for a while? And maybe we do just need to pull back a little bit and focus on like happiness, contentment, adventure, just enjoying life. So definitely like priorities and seasons are really huge when it comes to this, keeping that balance. So good.
This is so good. I feel like I learned so much from our own podcast, even though I know going into our podcast what we're going to be talking about.
Right.
I just feel like the free flowing like conversation kind of brings about new ideas and new revelations and stuff like that. So yeah, guys, this was great. Thank you so much for listening. If you stuck till the end.
All right. Hopefully it was good.
Yeah, honestly, this is so good. And we're definitely going to be closing this out. Please leave a rating and review if you were feeling the vibes. Okay. And we always end off our podcast by asking each other this one question. So I'm going to ask you first, babe.
Okay.
Why am I your muse this week?
Why are you my muse? You're my muse because you balance me out. I think you fulfill the areas of my character, of my life, my personality that I lack. And I think without you and without the strengths that you have, I would not be experiencing life to its full potential.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So that's why you're my muse.
I love this part. This is my favorite part of the podcast.
So why am I your muse?
So I had one in mind before we started, but I think because of this conversation, I'm switching a little bit. I might mention it anyway, but for me, I feel like you help me to focus on what matters. You help me to remember that like a sacrifice isn't the end of the world. You're not going to die. And you're going to be so grateful in the end. And I think your pep talks and your just logic has helped me so much in my life to grow in the areas that I actually want to grow in the areas that matter so much to me.
Yeah.
And then on a different level, you're my muse this week because pregnancy's been so hard, like I said already. And I mean, especially in the last few weeks. And you've just been so intentional. Like, guys, when I tell you this man has been like, babe, are you hungry? He cooked me Alfredo pasta. I'm pretty sure it was 11 at night.
Yeah, it was like 11.
It was like 11 at night. Like, he goes out of his way and gets me what I need. He feeds me. He's been cooking so much for me. Like, he's been cleaning so much for me. And, man, I'm just so grateful, helping so much with Shiloh. He's just really been carrying the load a lot because it's been hard for me to do my share. So
no, you're doing your share, definitely.
Thanks,
you're doing
babe.
A lot of heavy lifting over there.
Thanks, babe.
Heavy
So
lifting
yeah,
in the belly region.
definitely growing this child.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why you're my muse. I'm just so grateful. I feel like, man, who would I be without marriage? Like,
Oof.
who would I be? You know, obviously,
That's a whole nother podcast.
yeah, God would still be sanctifying me in his own ways, but I feel like he's just used you in so many ways in my life to sharpen me and make me better and help me,
Same here. Same here. Yo, hey, jot that down, man. How marriage has transformed my life.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother topic right there. But hey,
So good.
Beautiful. That's a wrap, y'all. That's it. That's all we got for y'all today.
That's it.
But
Please leave a rating and review.
Oh, one other thing I think that we didn't mention at the beginning of the podcast that we had jotted down on our notes was that we are going to be doing seasons, y'all.
Oh, yes.
So this is, even though we've launched this podcast like last year and some change ago, this is going to be officially season 1 of Mornings with My Muse podcast. It's going to last for probably about 3 months. So we're going to be dropping a weekly podcast. So check back in. I believe every Thursday is when we're going to drop it. So check into your Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, whatever platform you're watching or listening to this on. Check back in weekly. All right.
All right. Bye, guys. Thanks
Peace
for
out.
listening.